It's your boy Big Mo, episode 39. This is March Madness Part 2. Dose. If you were with us the last episode, episode 38, we were going through our March Madness list of top 10 female artists of all time via the opinion of the listeners and the fans. Very interesting list. If you didn't get a chance to listen to it, please do so. I would give you a summary, but we'll be all day doing that.
Right.
But this episode is dedicated to the men. We same thing. We went through. I asked a wide array of people, different ages, races, music styles, and asked them their opinion of their top 10 R&B artists, male of all time. And the list, it was vast to say the least. It's just very interesting. Pullz.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you have anything to add?
I mean, it wouldn't have been my top 10. I mean, there's certain individuals who are in my top 10, but not quite in this order. But it's different. It's different.
It isn't as clean cut as I thought the ladies were, but I mean, I guess this is what the podcast is for, to drum up some conversation. So
right.
Let's just jump into it.
Put it this way, you know how they have the competitions for the NCAA tournament starts with the perfect bracket.
Yeah.
This nobody's going to get the perfect bracket.
No. Nobody's going home with the cash prize.
The $1 billion bracket, I think they call it.
Yeah, and again, like I said, if this is your first time listening, welcome into the Know Better Do Better podcast. When you get a chance, listen to some of our previous episodes. Hope you find them entertaining. But if you're new to the March Madness situation, this is our second year doing it. Last year we did R&B groups, male and female. This year we're doing solo acts, male and female. And pretty much we pick the top 10, and then we seed them, top seed being number 1, bottom seed being number 10, according to how many votes they got from our listeners and friends. And we have a battle for the fittest. So how it works is the top seed goes up against the worst seed, and the winner rises from that. So let's just get into it. Number 10. We have number 10 here. In my opinion, probably the most talented artist that I can think of. Nah, I can't even say in my lifetime. Maybe almost ever. Just, far as singing talent, being a musician, playing so many instruments, writing, producing, showmanship, just a total package. I'm surprised he's this far down on the list. Maybe because of the style of music, a lot of people may not lend him the leniency of calling it R&B. But I'm glad he's on the list. He's got a tall task up ahead of him.
He does.
But
he wasn't done any favors being seated there.
But we're gonna jump right into it. Number 10, the purple one, Prince Rogers Nelson. What's your take on that, Pullz?
It's somebody I heard a lot of in my youth, since he was such a big star at the time. I'm not mad at Prince being seated there. In my personal taste, I don't know if he made my top 10.
Whoa!
I'm not sure if he did. I'm not sure if he did. It just I don't know. Maybe for me, his music didn't stand the test of time as much. It takes me back to an era, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely takes me back to an era. But I'm at heart more of a ballad type of guy.
Okay, so when you think of R&B,
so when I think of
R&B,
I think of more ballad than up tempo. If I went to up tempo, there's some omissions here. If it were just strictly about up tempo R&B, so it's kind of like your flavor. What you like. I'm not mad seeing Prince on the list. I understand why he is where he is and why he could be a little bit higher. But me personally, he's not one of my personal favorites. No, he's not one of my go-tos when I want to jam out, listen to some R&B, or if I'm listening to somebody cover R&B and they do a Prince song, I'm like, oh, okay. But to me, he's almost lends himself more to the rock and roll.
That's what I was saying. I was alluding to earlier. His
more.
music isn't necessarily R&B. He has a few R&B hits. His earlier music was funk, kind of funk
right.
R&B style, but that's not the popular stuff. That's not the stuff that people fell in love with.
Right.
The controversy. I Feel For You. Shaka Khan wasn't the first person to do that song. A lot of people don't know.
I just found. I was today years old when I found that out.
Listen to it. It's a nice little funky jam. There's a lot of songs he did in the mid and late 70s that people aren't privy to, but it gives him like I said, the leniency for R&B. But the stuff that people fell in love with is more like a funk rock, almost Rick James style, if you will. So a lot of people kind of omit him off the list, not because he doesn't belong, nowhere near the top or anything. It's just it wasn't their taste, or it wasn't necessarily in their eyes R&B.
Right.
So got Prince at number 10. Moving right along, number 9, one of my personal favorites, R&B wise, male voices. The voice is unparalleled. When you hear it, you know who it is.
Absolutely.
He's been doing it since he was like 14. He's always had a very mature voice. I think that's kind of what hurt him when he was young, singing music. Everybody thought he was such an older guy because of his voice. One of the few guys to thrive as a solo artist and being a member of 2 groups.
Right.
That sold platinum.
Sold
two groups that sold platinum amount of records. So versatile. He can stand alone or he can stand in amongst the crowd. Number 9. I always say, this brother can sing the Yellow Pages. Matter of fact, his nickname is Skills. We talk number 9, Johnny Gill.
Absolutely. Like I was saying before, me being a ballad guy, there's not too many do it better than Johnny when it comes to singing the ballads.
It's kind of sad to see him so low on the list, but I'm glad he's on the list.
There you go, a favorite song of mine.
There you go. If you say to people Johnny Gill, first thing usually comes to their mind is my. I'm a Lady du Jour type of guy. I like the B-sides.
Right.
Hey, you talked up tempo. Fair Weather Friend that wasn't bad.
No, it was not.
Because Johnny didn't sing a lot of up tempo songs. So
what's it? I Wrap My Body Tight.
Wrap My Body Tight. Look, I'm going up tempo. Rub You the Right Way.
Hey.
That was a good hit. It wasn't his style, but he took it and ran with it.
He came in during the New Jack era, so he kind of had to do what he had to do.
Yeah, he had to get in where he fit in. Let's get the mood right. Even in the earlier days when he was doing the duets with Stacey Lattisaw, Perfect Combination, and Where Do We Go From Here, and let's not even tell. We are talking solo artists, so I would say the New Edition leads and things of that nature. But the sound is what the sound is.
Right.
And he kind of took a hiatus, although he was still touring and doing his shows.
Johnny will pop up every couple years with a single.
And I was just about to say he's kind of refreshed himself, and he's come out with some independent pieces of work that aren't bad. And if like you say, if you're an R&B guy,
you had the radio on. Like, was that just Johnny? Is that new?
That's the thing. Once you hear the voice, you're like, oh, that's like Johnny.
Yeah.
Johnny Gill, man, he's a balladeer. He's stood the test of time. I don't have nothing bad to say about Johnny as far as his solo career. I'm trying to think now. What really is my favorite? I would say Lady du Jour might be my favorite Johnny Gill song.
Yeah, I'll probably have to go with There You Go.
From
my favorite movie. So.
My favorite movie as well. We might get to get into the best soundtracks ever.
Oh man, that one right there.
The Boomerang soundtrack got to go right up there at the top.
Yeah.
Between that and The Bodyguard, I don't see too many people fighting with that.
Yeah, it was high quality.
Even Waiting to Exhale.
Yeah, there was a lot.
That's an episode in itself, man.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Here we go. Okay, now we're really mixing it up now.
Yeah.
We are number 8.
Oh, God.
Number 8, I feel, due to certain circumstances that's going on, it dropped his stock.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people lost love with him when they should have lost love with him back in 2001. But anyway,
Right.
but like you said earlier in the earlier episode, the music stands alone
Right.
from the man. You know, I've always been a person that can separate the person from the art. I mean, I feel like he definitely deserves to be on top of the list, but I understand why he's where
Right.
he's at. We are talking, and I don't even want to call him by that name. We're just gonna go with the R. We're gonna go with R. Kelly at number 8.
Right. I mean, I guess it all depends on the conversation that you're having. If you're able, and some people aren't able to do this, and I get why they're not able to do it. If you could separate the man from the art, if we're just speaking strictly 100% on the art,
Pound for pound, talking about the music.
I mean, what else can you say? He gives you music every way that you want it. He's got ballads. He's got up tempo. He's got
Club music.
just everything.
Inspirational music.
like
even a gospel song every once in a
anything.
while.
This man can literally write any style of music, and he probably has for your favorite artists. And you know, there's really not much you can say. Like the only knock you can put on him
It's his legal troubles.
You know, is his personal life.
Yeah.
And I get it. I get it if you can't, because from what he's being accused of, you know, I'm no judge, you know, what he's being accused of is some pretty horrific stuff, if true. Now, I don't know if it's true. Only him and his maker know if it's true. So I choose to stay out of it. And I can separate, you know, the man from the art, because there's a lot of artists who've done things or accused of doing things, and I'm not saying they're equally as bad, but you know, bad things. You know, I may listen to rappers who may have killed somebody before. Who knows?
Yeah, for real.
You know, it doesn't stop me from listening to their music, because you know, I'm not, you know, inviting him to Sunday dinner. I'm just listening to the music.
Dig it.
And I feel like you know, I can separate that. But I can understand where people can't.
I mean, R. Kelly's been making music from 1991 up until the present, you know, situations he's in now. So I mean, as far as you know, the longevity, the hits, he keeps coming out with songs just when you think he's dead. You know, he rises from the ashes with another song, another single. You know, a collab. He's writing something for somebody. It's funny. You say he's written for a lot of people. I came across an old CD yesterday, and it was the Winans, one of their last studio albums.
Okay.
R. Kelly wrote it.
Hey, nothing surprising.
It was like 1992 or something like that, and like most of it was written by R. Kelly and Vincent Herbert.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Tamar's husband. Yeah. I was like, wow. Ain't that a blast from the past?
You know, the man's a genius. There's really not any other words you can really, you know, describe him as. For a man, what he say is illiterate.
Illiterate. That's what he said. He's a genius and illiterate at the same time.
You know, who can't read. You know, the man is he's a musical genius.
Yes.
So the only knock you can really put on him is his personal life.
Yeah, man. It's a shame,
right.
But
you know, it's like a player in the draft. You know, they got the red flag. Randy Moss drops because he smoked weed.
Yeah.
So he drops to number 20 or whatever.
Right.
But the talent is the talent.
Well, I will say this for the rest of the seeding: whoever goes up against R. Kelly, they got a fight on their hands.
I'm predicting a first round upset.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at the list. Oh yeah.
So when you get to who's in that spot, that should be you know.
Yeah.
They are the Gonzaga in here.
Yes. They are your bracket buster.
Yeah.
So moving right along. We are going to number 7. Here's a guy. He has a bit of some issues of his own.
He does. I think a lot of these guys in this list have, you know, no squeaky clean records for the most part.
Man, yeah.
You know. One way or another, they've been.
I am looking at this list. You are absolutely right.
You know,
you are so right.
Some worse than others.
But. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Everyone from 1 to 10. Jeez. So we talking number 7. I mean, I think he's went through some legal troubles, but I think the thing that helped him, he went through it kind of early in his career, so he's had a chance to redeem himself and win back to fans. I think he's had to work 3 times as hard to do it but he's been doing it. Hits. He started out very young. He's still putting out hits. Still has a very huge following. I mean, hits you with songs and songs and songs, which to me sometimes I think takes away from his art. But nonetheless, we have the new age Bobby Brown, Chris Brown.
Okay.
Chris Brown, Chris Breezy at number 7.
7. I think he's right where he should be. He's not the greatest singer.
No.
Performer wise, he's
talented.
he's the Kobe to Michael.
Yeah.
When it comes to performance wise, with the dancing and
total package wise.
At the same time.
Yeah, total package. He has it. Like I said, the legal trouble. I think if it wasn't for that, he'd probably be in the way out of the atmosphere by now. But
you know what? I think a lot of people have forgiven him for that. I think they have.
I think so, but I think that the first initial hit,
it
jolted his momentum.
But you know what? I think it kind of changed the trajectory of his career.
Yeah.
Where is that he was going down a lane that was, where we keep going back to a little bit more popish.
Mm-hmm.
That after he had the legal troubles, that he kind of went more to the hip hop side of things,
mm-hmm.
and the sound of his music changed a little bit.
Yeah.
But I do agree with you. Say he puts out way too much material, which is sometimes you think, well, there's too much material. But when you put out 40-song albums, that's a bit much.
Like he came up with that album a couple years ago, and it was like 42 songs. I only got through like the first 18.
Like he's just emptying his hard drive and
I was beat. I was beat after the first 12. I was like, man, I still got 34 more to go. Like, what the hell, man?
But Chris Brown, he's almost, we talked in the previous episode, like the Mary J. He doesn't do anything great. Well, he's a great dancer, I'll say that.
Yeah.
But music wise, he's not the greatest voice, but it's just the songs are great.
Yeah.
These great songs.
Yeah. So Chris Breezy at number 7, man. I have no arguments looking at this list. I mean, you're going to see some of the names that aren't on this list we'll get to later, and you'll be like, man, what the hell? Number 6. He could have easily been closer to the top. Depending on who you ask. I think he's a little lower on the list because he's slowed down a bit.
Mm-hmm.
He's not coming out as much to content. I don't think he has to these days.
Right, no, I think he is his Hall of Fame career is solidified.
Oh yeah, it's cemented. Yeah. So we're talking with Usher, number 6.
Yeah.
Usher.
I think a lot of people will say he's all right being at 6, but maybe if you see some of the names in front of you may change your mind afterwards. Yeah. Maybe he should be a little bit higher. Usher, he kind of he's not the performer that Chris Brown is, but he does everything else probably a notch better.
Yes.
Than Chris Brown. So wherever they're listed, they always should be Usher right in front of Chris Brown, in my opinion.
So this list kind of got it right, for the most part, for them two. But you're gonna have your adamant Chris Brown fans,
right?
They're
gonna look at the longevity of his career, the versatility, and things like that. People still seek him out.
Yeah, but
he's kind of the magic ingredient if you want your song to go to a certain place.
But Chris Brown never went diamond.
He did not. Chris Brown does not have a Confessions album.
No, he did not go in. If I'm not mistaken, I want to say Confessions went double diamond. I want to say that thing sold 20 mil.
Yeah, it sold a lot of records.
It sold a lot of records. It was.
So he doesn't have that one stamped body of work like the Usher had. Like
Usher could have stopped making music after Confessions.
And there's a lot of people who like 8701 almost just as much as Confessions.
Our co-host Brandon, he swears by 8701.
Yeah, he likes some other Usher albums or projects that I'm
he likes that Zaytoven shit that he came out with. That was straight trash.
Yeah, I wasn't. I'm not okay with that.
No, man.
Brandon, I'm not okay with that.
Nah. And I hope you listen to me. You are now listening to the Know Better Do Better podcast. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Know Better Do Better podcast, Facebook at Know Better Do Better podcast, Twitter at No Podcast Crew, and on YouTube at Know Better Do Better podcast. Like I said, we got Usher at 6. I'm not mad. But now number 5, this is where it gets interesting.
Okay, yeah, very.
For a couple of reasons. Because here's a guy, much like Johnny Gill, he's a solo artist, but he cut his teeth being the lead man in a group.
Mm-hmm.
Some people some people I talked to didn't even know he was in a group. That's how long his career has been. And, so they didn't even know. When they're listening to a song, they say, oh, that's so-and-so. I'm like, well, yeah, so-and-so, but he's in the group. And they're like, what group? So he's made a name for himself strictly as a solo man. He has a career with a band. Some people tend to think one might be better than the other. Some people don't think he should be on the list for whatever reasons. But I will say this, voice-wise, you can't knock him.
No.
And even at his age now, he's in his early to mid 60s, he is pitch perfect with his new stuff and his old stuff as you're ever gonna hear. I've heard him live and I was just like astounded, like wow, he sounds like I really was watching to see if he was lip singing the whole show. If it wasn't for the ad libs, I would have thought he was lip singing. Much like R. Kelly, same way. He's very pitch perfect as well. Uncle Charlie Wilson is at number 5. Whew. Now that's like if he was on the list a little lower, I'd be like, okay, cool. But he's in the middle. He's right in the mix.
That when you're number 5, you're a contender.
Yes.
I know a lot of people have borrowed their style from Charlie.
Oh man, we can go through the list.
I mean, you talk about R. Kelly,
yeah. Aaron Hall.
Yeah.
Ooh,
a lot. That sound that if you're not familiar with the Gap Band, go back and listen to them a little bit, and you'll see that style of singing, the runs and stuff like that. That's Charlie Wilson.
That's Uncle Charlie. Not even counting. I forgot all about the collabs that he does with the rappers and hooks and oh my goodness. But it's funny you say that. Just a little quick note. We talked about Aaron Hall. There was an interview with Teddy Riley, who was a part of the group Guy. He said when he was forming Guy, he was like, the group he looked up to the most was the Gap Band. He said the Gap Band owned the 80s.
Right.
He was trying to be the 90s version of the Gap Band. So when you get Aaron Hall and Teddy Riley and you hear that sound, now it makes sense.
Right.
Because now, he's pretty much trying to make he's following the blueprint that Charlie Wilson made in the 80s. He was just trying to put the 90s spin on it with the New Jack Swing and Aaron Hall. So, a lot of people owe their careers to Charlie Wilson. Real talk.
To me, I just wonder if Charlie's solo career holds enough weight to put him there.
Now, I think his solo career for me is a little too old for me. His style.
Right. It's the what they call the adult contemporary.
Yeah. His demographic is like our parents' age and stuff like that, and so I don't know really how big a following he has.
So that's where I'm a little confused that how he got up this high.
And I mean, I asked a wide array of people, different ages, and a lot of people, for some reason, had Uncle Charlie. I tell you this, Uncle Charlie as a solo artist has maybe a handful of singles that people just love. His albums might not be great, but he has those, I ain't gonna call them bangers, but he has those singles that everybody knows.
Right.
Whether it's first name Charlie, last name Wilson,
right.
You Are. There's a couple more that I can't think of right off the top of my head. He has those songs that everybody knows. They get married to. There Goes My Baby. Yeah. So
I think he's got a joint with Justin Timberlake.
Yeah. It's like I understand now that people say Charlie Wilson, but I'm like, does he really have the following, or are they really digging him? Like, because when I say Charlie Wilson, I'm thinking about you dropped the bomb on me. Right. Outstanding. Right. So, but Charlie Wilson, I mean, he snuck in there. He snuck in there, but we're gonna see. But let me see. I'm trying to see how these seedings work.
Yeah, but I don't see him making it out of the first round.
You got to see the number 4 seed.
I believe the 6.
Number 5. It's 5 and 6.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you got to see Usher if that's. Okay. Good luck with that, Charlie. Moving to number 4. Some people think he's one of the GOATs. I mean, I have no arguments. He's my mother's favorite, next to Smokey.
Another omission, but we'll get to the omissions later.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. But I mean, here's a guy. He had. I mean, up until he passed, he had a nice, long, illustrious career.
2 careers almost.
Yeah.
Almost 2 very different.
Very different.
Very different.
Very different because
equally as strong, I think.
Equally as strong, as impactful. Because I think he shaped what R&B was back in his first career,
Mm-hmm.
and then he reinvented himself,
Mm-hmm.
and then kind of geared you to what R&B was about to be
Right.
going into the 70s and 80s.
Right.
I mean, yeah, I didn't even think of it like that, but
two
yeah,
very, very different careers.
two very different careers, but just as it's almost like Kobe.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the 8 versus the 24.
Yeah.
Like, what are you gonna do?
Right.
Let's retire both jerseys.
Right.
We talking about, man, Mr. Motown himself, Marvin Gaye.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I tell you what, I'm not a big fan. I'm not gonna say I'm not a fan of Marvin Gaye, but I'm not a fan of '60s
Babyface Marvin Gaye.
Babyface Marvin Gaye, Tammy Terrell, black and white, you know, videos and vinyl. I'm not a fan of that style of R&B. That 50s, 60s, not me. Like that is not me.
I think they tried to make it colorless. So you know, basically take the soul out of you.
Take the soul out so they can sell records.
Right.
I wasn't a fan of. That's the stuff my mom loved. I mean, my mom loved everything Marvin Gaye, but she liked all that 60s stuff. It's not necessarily my style, but I mean, like I said, we said in the other episode, man, you can't knock voice.
Right.
Like you got talent, you got the voice.
Right.
You know, it's unparalleled. I mean, here's a guy who had range, he had styles, and then like you said, he took a little hiatus and he came back and got real social with his music.
He did.
Got funky with his music.
Mm-hmm.
He almost had a third career if he didn't die.
Yeah.
Think about it, because when he came, he went on that hiatus. He came back from France after owing everybody taxes and money, and he came out with the What's Going Ons and the Inner City Blues and I Want Yous and all that stuff. That was so different than Ain't Nothing Like the Real Thing.
Right. Hey, like I said, two very different careers.
Two totally different styles. Like, if you haven't listened to Marvin Gaye, if you've been under a rock for the last 50 years, do yourself a favor, listen to some of the older stuff, listen to some of the more recent stuff, well, recent for him being the 70s,
Right.
and you'll see the differences, but still good quality music. And then, he had issues with drugs or this, that, and the other,
Right.
and he kind of went on another hiatus, came back in the early 80s with the Sexual Healing, won his only Grammy. All those hits he had, he only won one Grammy with Sexual Healing. He had to talk about literal sex to get a Grammy.
Yeah,
And then he died soon after that. But I think like he kind of molded what R&B ended up being, man.
Absolutely.
Like I said, and if he didn't pass, I think he was ready to remold it again. Because I
wouldn't have put it past him.
Because the style of R&B wasn't really getting there. I mean, you still had like people like the Isleys singing. They were singing, like them love ballads and the sheets and stuff. And Marvin was like, you know what? We just gonna get to the nitty gritty.
Right.
Let's call it what it is,
right.
man.
That definitely ushered the way in for.
My body's yearning.
Right.
Like the stuff that we take for granted that R. Kelly and the Chris Browns and the Bobby Browns and stuff like that were singing. He kind of ushered that in the early '80s. So. I mean, shout out to Marvin Gaye, man. I had no qualms with him being.
That's a pretty solid.
That's a very, especially I'm looking at the list above him with one exception, but I'm not mad at that.
Nah.
Like you said, if you're in the top 5, you contended.
Right.
Now number 3 here. Now I am so puzzled. I'm not puzzled to why he got so many votes, but I'm just puzzled why other people didn't get more votes. Because he did. In the late 90s and early 2000s, really have a lock on things. I'm not a big fan because I'm the type, if you heard one of his songs, you've almost heard them all. So his style was kind of monotonous for me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's a good songwriter. That's about it. I mean, he had a solid voice. I don't want to sound like
I thought he would be asleep. I didn't think
he'd be so high up on the list.
Right. If he had cracked number 10, I'd have been like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
3, I'm floored.
Man, when I was getting the tallies in, I was like, huh, really?
I am floored.
Especially when we're going to go through the omissions, so especially when you see the people that didn't make the list, it's like, wow, you really thought that highly of Musiq Soulchild at number 3. Musiq Soulchild, number 3. That doesn't even roll off the tongue right. It doesn't even sound right.
Does he have good songs? Yes. I'm a fan. I will come out and say I'm a fan of Musiq Soulchild. I'm not that big of a fan of Musiq Soulchild.
Yeah, I appreciate his music. He makes good songs. But
if you told me he was in your top 20, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was alive in the 2000s.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue with you if he was in your top 20. I'm going to argue with you if he's in your top 3.
Yes.
I'm definitely going to argue with you.
Yes. I don't want to talk too much about it because I don't want to feel like I'm knocking him. Because I mean, he made it. The people voted. The people spoke. He wasn't on my top 10. I'll tell you that.
No. I'm very, very shocked.
So I mean, yeah, Music Soul Child.
I almost thought it was a misprint.
So this is the matchup we were talking about earlier. So the 3 seed will have to go up against the 8th seed,
Right.
which is R. Kelly.
Yeah.
So I mean, unless something crazy happens in the process,
sometimes the universe takes care of itself.
Yeah. So unless something crazy happens in the discussions of who advances, it looks like
let's say having those character flaws on them.
Yeah. So maybe Music Soul Child is just one of those we're just happy to be here type of situations.
I'd be very shocked.
Oh man, yeah, that's just yeah. So now we are at number 2. We are down to the top 2. And I know you're probably like, well, what happened to so and so? Well, we only got 2 more slots to fill, so maybe your guy didn't make it. But we are at number 2. Although this is the male R&B seeding, we lead into number 2 with the King of Pop, Michael Jackson. A lot of people will be like, well, why Michael Jackson in the top 10 when he don't even do R&B music? It's pop. Well, I'll let Pullz give you his definition on what he thinks pop is and how it should be, dissected.
Right. To me, pop is something that's just become popular. Like, I don't know if there's necessarily a pop sound, so to speak, because there's, for instance, I think when she first started out, Taylor Swift was considered a country artist.
Yes.
But then she became popular, so now it's almost like they call her a pop artist.
Right.
Or, certain rock and roll music that became popular, so now they become pop music. So I believe pop music can draw from any genre. It just, sometimes when you become successful, they call you pop.
Right.
I think that's more or less about it. Not just necessarily the actual style of music considered pop.
And I will say with Michael Jackson, he's pretty much covered all the bases on all styles of music.
Right.
But I will say this about Michael Jackson. I think his best album was his R&B album.
Off the Wall.
Off the Wall. Bar none. Pound for pound was his best work of art.
I'm a Thriller guy.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Thriller is Thriller.
Hell, I'm a bad guy.
Look, I'm a Michael fan. We're both Michael fans, so I don't want to sound like I'm so super biased. But Michael never, a lot of people act like Mike abandoned black music. I just think he just broadened your eyes, it broadened your view on things. Because Off the Wall was a soul album. They had a couple disco songs on there, but that thing was funk filled.
Right. I mean, disco was what it was at the time.
The disco was the R&B back then.
Right.
And real talk, you want to talk about R&B, the whole Dangerous album was the New Jack Swing.
It was.
Every song on there was a Teddy Riley R&B. So, I mean, if you like, say for instance, Bobby Brown, or you like Guy, or even if we talking hip-hop and you like Heavy D, New Jack Swing. That's what that whole Michael Jackson Dangerous album was. From top to bottom. So, it wasn't like he abandoned it. He just took the sound, he put his twist on it, and everybody loved it.
Yeah.
We ain't gonna talk about records. We don't really have to talk about voice. I mean, he stood the test of time.
Right.
He's selling more records dead than you can sell right now.
Right.
Pushing it yourself.
Yeah.
I don't have too much more to say about
that he kind of speaks for
himself. It goes
himself.
without saying. Like we can talk to the cows come home about Michael Jackson. Before we go any further, what's your favorite Michael song? Now I know that's pulling teeth.
I'm gonna go with Lady in My Life.
Lady in My Life. Ooh. That's a good song.
Yeah, I think
I mean, I like the ballads too, but Mike made me want to get up and dance. Yeah. My favorite Michael Jackson song, and my second favorite album, is Another Part of Me. Another Part of Me. Especially
I didn't see that one coming. That's a great song.
Especially when they take it to the bridge. Especially when you watch the live video when he's like in Tokyo. Man, that nigga be getting it.
I Just Can't Stop Loving You. That's a.
Oh man, now you want to talk a ballad?
Yeah.
You want to talk a song? And you know, when people talk about Mike's voice and this day, he let you know like, hey, like, I still got the chops.
Yeah.
You know, I be
Now, when it
screaming.
comes to
I be screaming and grunting, but I got the chops.
Up tempo, Mike. Favorite up tempo.
Man, there's so many.
You know, I may have to go with rock with you. You know, it's very, very tough to
Tempo is
not
middle
go
of the
rock
road,
with.
but
you know, you get your, little two-step onto it.
yeah. Well, you know, up tempo is another part of me. Let me
Pretty
see.
young thing.
I go ballad. My favorite Michael Jackson ballad. Ooh, man, it might be Lady in My Life or I Can't Stop Loving You.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
Liberian Girl.
ooh,
Yeah.
ooh. Yeah, see, it's tough when you got such a large catalog and all your songs are hits. It's tough because there's very few songs of Michael's that I just don't like. You know, like for real, you know, a very, very big sleeper that people tend to not think about is Stranger in Moscow.
Mm.
You know, it's
Very, very, very slept on.
yeah. Oh, they don't care about us.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, call me. We can go all day. Michael Jackson at number 2, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Sliding right into the number 1 spot.
Oh.
This very scandalous top 10 that we. Oh man, as Eddie Murphy called him in the Delirious sketch, he's the Black Pavarotti.
Mm.
I mean, you know, he got a voice smooth as velvet, a tone that everybody loves. The ladies loved him. He didn't necessarily love the ladies, from what I understand. Rumor has it, allegedly. Let's put that out there. Don't want me getting sued or anything. I mean, man. I mean, he stood the test of time. And like we talked about earlier, even with the women, you talked about how hip hop came in and kind of wiped R&B out, but he stood firm, 10 toes down with his style, his sound, and thrived right through it, which very few couldn't do. They either had to adapt, adjust, or they disappeared.
Mm.
And this dude, he stood firm. I mean, like we said, the cream always rises to the top, man. He showed it. Number 1 of this top 10 male solo list is Luther Vandross.
Mm.
I mean, shucks. I don't have nothing to say.
I believe in pure if this is strictly about singing ability, I think I would be okay with him being number 1. But for me, when you put the whole package together, I mean, I would say top 5. Number 1.
I mean, and granted, how he got number 1 is because how many mentions he got.
Right.
It wasn't like an average on where
Right,
he was
right.
on people's top 10, because that was kind of a lot of work to do.
Mm.
To do the math and figure out where people were.
Yeah, he's in everybody's top 10, obviously.
He should be. Honestly, I think he should be in everybody's top 5.
I'm not mad at that either.
And even top 3. You know,
You can
barring,
argue me.
you know, but you know, he said so. Him being anywhere around that list, I'm not mad. Like you said, total package. I mean, you know, he wasn't a dancer,
Right,
or anything like that. But he did make up tempo songs.
He did.
That did well. You know, never too much.
Yeah.
And, you know, he made a few. You know, my favorite Luther song, you may not even realize, is "Take You Out."
Mm. That's one of the later.
And that was one of the later songs.
One of the later.
When, you know, when people thought he was done, he was like, I got a couple hits
Like
left.
I understand why he's like some seedings. I don't understand why they're there, but I get why.
Yeah.
How Luther can end up at number 1.
I mean, he has a great voice. Range, he didn't have a whole lot of range, but when, you know, he stayed in that pocket and he killed that pocket. You know, you wasn't gonna hear, you know, Luther hit you with a hard falsetto. And, oh, where did that come from? Like,
My pops used to bump the Power of Love a whole lot back in the day.
You know, he was like him and Anita Baker at that time. They was just killing stuff right then and there. Like, you know.
You know, a lot of people got married to his music.
Oh yeah, I mean, they were still getting
a
married.
lot.
Even like the later stuff, people are dancing with my father and all that stuff. You know, like you said, Power of Love, So Amazing. You know, I'm not opposed to putting Luther Vandross in my karaoke mix.
Hey, okay.
Karaoke's this Thursday.
He is a singer's singer.
Yes. Yeah.
He's what they call him, like maybe your favorite singer's singer.
Yeah, for real. Like, yeah, he might go on my playlist this Thursday. Going to karaoke this Thursday. I might have to figure out. I might have to sing some "So Amazing" real quick. But I know arguments there. Shoot. Let's get into the matchups a little bit, just to kind of give you an overview. So we have Luther Vandross at number 1.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be going up against the Prince.
Okay.
Interesting. I mean,
contrast of styles. What they say? Styles make fights.
Yeah, and I mean, depending on who we have to come discuss who should advance. I mean, we have some very hardcore Prince fans.
Yeah.
Just like I know a whole lot of hardcore Luther Vandross fans. So that will be interesting.
I believe. What do they say? Luther will pull it out in the clutch. I think. What is he? Closer than the experts think.
Yeah. And then we got we got Michael Jackson, number 2, going up against Johnny Gill, which I don't think is fair to Johnny.
Nah, Johnny.
But I think Mike. Then again, it depends. If you got some soul purist or R&B purist, they might fight you on Michael advancing.
Johnny's gonna have a tough time.
You got to fight. No, here's where things get interesting. We have Music Soul Child at number 3, going up against the Pied Piper.
Right.
R. Kelly at number 8.
To me, it's no matchup.
I think these people should be flip-flopped. I think R. Kelly should be 3.
Absolutely.
And Music Soul Child should be 8.
That sounds about right.
You know what I mean? Really,
that
honestly.
sounds about right.
So, but we'll see. Crazy things have happened. We got number 4.
This is an excellent matchup.
Marvin Gaye, old school.
Excellent matchup.
Old school royalty against the new school phenom. He can't even call him new school now because he's cut his teeth
out of
long
both
enough.
brackets, this is probably my favorite. Between this, if you scroll back, the Anita Baker Beyonce first round matchup.
Yeah, how about that?
Those are my 2 favorite first round matchups.
So we're gonna have Marvin Gaye and his 2.5 careers versus Chris Brown's 2 careers.
Like seeing either of them not in the second round is just mind-boggling.
It's gonna be baffling, but somebody got to win.
For either of those 2 not to make the second round.
As Jim Ross in wrestling would say, this is gonna be a slobber knocker.
Yeah.
We got number 5, Uncle Charlie.
Mm.
Charlie Wilson going against Usher Raymond. Now, that is perplexing because we made the case on why Charlie is on the list and where he's at. He stood the test of time. He has the voice and all of that. And Usher, same reason. A lot of records sold. He's very great performer, total package. I don't know. It just depends, I guess, who we have in the room talking about it.
Yeah.
I would like to see Usher.
I kind of see Usher winning that,
but. I'm not.
I would be shocked if Uncle Charlie. I'm going to go ahead. I'd be shocked if Uncle Charlie beat Usher.
So we got some interesting stuff going on. But let's we have a few minutes to spare. Let's talk about the omissions. The omissions here. We got. I'm looking at the list of everybody mentioned. So you probably don't have the list of everybody mentioned. But I'm looking at Trey Songz. A lot of people feel strongly about Trey Songz.
Trey's got a good catalog. I can't knock Trey's catalog. Would I be shocked if he had snuck in there at number 10? No. But I'm okay with Trey missing the top 10.
Here's one that barely missed the cut. Al Green. He was R&B in the 70s.
He was.
It was. They said 2 men in R&B ruled the 70s, and both of them aren't on this list. And it's Al Green and Teddy Pendergrass.
I would go more Teddy than Al. My personal taste. I'm more of a Teddy guy.
Yeah, I'm more of a Teddy Pendergrass fan, but it's coin toss.
Yeah.
One of my all-time favorite R&B period, The King. Bobby.
He kind of gets the short end of the stick sometimes.
I think Bobby did the most with the least amount of time. Bobby pretty much worked one album for 3 years and worked the hell out of it. I mean, he had two strong albums, but like that Don't Be Cruel album, I mean, he worked the hell out of it from 88 to 91.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of.
And if you listen to his story, he said that wasn't even the plan. He was just going to work a few songs, go on tour. He said, but the tour and the songs did so well, they made him do the tour two and a half times. So he was touring the world off of one album. He was tired of it. He wanted to jump into his second album. So, I mean, that kind of, I think, was the detriment to him because after that, he got married to Whitney Houston, caught bad flack for that,
Right.
and then he came out with the second album. Nobody wanted to hear it. Like,
Right.
one, you're already married, so you're off the market,
Right.
and then two, it's like, whatever, But Bobby Brown, and like I said, he didn't have a super long career as far as that was concerned. Here's somebody that did have a pretty long career. If it didn't make the list, Keith Sweat.
A lot of hits.
A lot of hits. And Keith Sweat, he prides himself on, he wrote all his stuff.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been mad to see Keith Sweat.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been mad. I mean, he's not my style, but there's definitely, here's the funny thing. A lot of people love Keith Sweat for his songs. I'm a big fan of Keith Sweat's up-tempo stuff.
And here's a fun fact.
Something just ain't right.
If you've never seen Keith perform before, Keith has a falsetto that you would never know that he had. I was very shocked to hear
you told me
Keith
about
Sweat
that.
had a falsetto.
Yeah.
Very shocked.
Especially when you hear his speaking voice.
Right.
His speaking voice, like, yeah.
I was at the show. I was like, did he just do that? Very shocked.
Man, we talking. Let's go down the list real quick. Maxwell, Mr. Cut.
Shocked. You can make an argument for him.
He had a string of hits in the 2000s. Great voice. Man, we was talking Marvin Gaye. What about Smokey?
Smokey?
One of my mother's favorites. He didn't make it. I like Smokey.
And I'm going down here my playlist. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of names that are on
Tevin Campbell got mentioned a few times, but
a good start to his career. Like I said,
puberty hit. His voice changed a bit.
Can we talk a favorite song of mine?
I've seen some Miguel mentions.
Brian
McKnight, absolutely. John Legends. I mean, one of the GOATs. I mean, and that's not even an opinion. He is one of the GOATs. Stevie Wonder did not make the list.
He did not.
Stevie Wonder did not make the list. A lot of people like El DeBarge.
Yeah.
Jamie Foxx. I mean,
Wouldn't be a top 10 for me.
Here's a guy I wouldn't have been mad to see towards the bottom, but he didn't. Joe. He's the consummate R&B guy.
Yeah.
He's R&B through and through. Anthony Hamilton, Neo.
I mean, Neo, he kind of was one of the last guys holding the torch for R&B.
One of the guys we kind of came into the fold with our high school years, Avant.
I wouldn't have been mad. You can make an argument.
For the old heads out there that kind of like the jazzy R&B soul type, Kim,
yeah.
Man.
How do you feel about Gerald Levert?
He didn't get. He got maybe one mention, man. I was surprised. Jaheim.
You can make a strong argument for me for Jaheim to be in the top 10.
Yes. I would.
Jaheim,
I mean,
I don't know what's going on with him now.
I was going to say he's the target of a lot of memes going on now, but
when it comes to music, R&B music,
man, they was calling him the next Teddy Pendergrass because of his voice.
The music speaks for itself.
Oh man, Babyface.
I
think people just kind of lump him in as a songwriter, but man, as a standalone artist, man,
he's got his own hits.
He got his own hits. It might be a little too old for people's taste, but I mean, if you throw Luther in the mix, you kind of got to mention, his rival, Freddie Jackson. Freddie, I do sing "You Are My Lady" at pub karaoke. Give me enough drinks, I'll sing it. A lot of the Raheem DeVaughn.
Nah.
Hey, look, man. People was mentioned. I'm just putting what people mentioned.
I like Raheem, but nah.
Curtis Mayfield.
What about Mario?
Mario got mentioned once, and I was just kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
For the new school cats, Luke James got mentioned a few times. Tyrese got mentioned.
Okay.
I'm not mad at that. Eric Benet.
Okay.
These and Eric Benet has a great voice. I just think his material is inconsistent, but I'm quite sure he puts on a pretty good show if you were to go listen to him. One of my favorites, He just doesn't put out enough music consistently. It's Carl Thomas.
Okay. I like Carl.
We're going old school again. I got some Jeffrey Osborne mentions, some Lionel Richie mentions, and one for the white guy, Michael McDonald. There's a lot of people that didn't make the list. The men was a lot more diverse than the women.
I'm going to be that guy, and I'm going to mention this name. What about Justin Timberlake?
Justin Timberlake, I expected to get mentioned, got no mentions.
Wow.
Because I think it's what you say about the pop.
Mm-hmm.
They got him wrapped up in pop, and I don't know what
his albums are very R&B-ish.
His albums, just for the same reason I made the argument for Michael Jackson with the Dangerous and the Off the Wall. Mm-hmm. You can't make an album. His albums are split down the middle, song for song. One song's a Timberland song, and the next one's a Pharrell song.
Right.
You can't make an album with those two producers and it not be considered some type of R&B.
I was shocked not to see a Timberlake mention.
Future Sex, Love Sounds, that album there.
Yeah.
Justified. I don't know. And I think maybe because the last couple of projects he's come out with have been he's been middle of the road with them. Because I think he's been trying to follow that country lane that people have been trying to jump on.
Now here's a kind of in the same lane but off topic, just to wrap things up here. Who is your favorite singer from a group who never had a solo career?
Ron Isley.
Okay. Yeah.
Never had a solo career because even though he sang
the Mr. Big,
but he's always had Ernie back there playing the guitar, so they were always considered the Isley brothers. But a guy in a group. I'll omit Ron Isley if you think that's kind of unfair.
I think Ron that's justified. I believe.
A guy in a group that never had a solo career. Now, why is nothing coming to? I can't think of nothing right now, but I know you got one.
I'm a fan of Sean Stockman. Big fan.
Yeah. I think he's very underrated, man.
Yeah.
I think he is really the glue that holds Boys to Men together, man. It's a very great tenor.
Hometown, Cisco. And he did have a solo career.
He did.
Actually, I just watched our Unsung yesterday. Cisco sold 5 million records with his solo album.
I had Unleash the Dragon.
Unleash the Dragon sold 5 million records.
I had that album. It was a good album.
Yeah,
it was at the time with the style.
Yeah.
It was a good album, man.
I was unaware that sold 5 million records. Then if you're in the KC,
KC, but he kind of ventured out with him and JoJo did their thing, but it wasn't the same sound.
I was a fan of Tony Thompson.
Oh yeah, High Five, may he rest in peace.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but yeah, I would have to say
he did have a solo album actually.
Yeah, he did. He really did. Yeah, I would say Ron Isley. I'm old school, so I'd say Ron Isley. Eddie Levert.
Eddie, yeah. Great voice.
Great voice. Well, if you never heard Eddie Levert, just listen to Gerald.
Right.
It's kind of like the younger version of what Eddie would have probably sounded like. But yeah, man.
What about Triz?
Nah. They are good. New Edition is good
as a collective.
Because none of them were great singers aside from Johnny Gill.
Right.
Aside from Johnny, Ralph had a solo album, but it was like
I'm a Ricky Bell fan.
It was a day late, dollar short.
Yeah.
Because it was like he came out with something. It was like, man, this sound like Bobby.
Yeah. You saw the mini series. Man, nobody want to hear that shit. Said about it.
Yeah, but he was a day late, dollar short. If he had came out when things was really, really popping, he would have been better off. But they were better as a group. They were like Voltron.
Right. What about on the female end?
Man,
one, there's not a ton of female groups.
No, we had that problem last year trying to find groups. Not a ton. And a lot of the female artists, they were in groups. We look at Anita Baker. She was in Chapter 8. Patti LaBelle was part of Patti LaBelle and the Bluebells.
Right.
And
so they kind of all
Beyonce.
Whoever was the cream of the crop, they kind of branched off. They never just stayed in the group.
Toni Braxton, she got a record deal solely off of being in the group with her sisters.
Yeah.
Like a lot of those I mean, you know, so.
We got Coco, maybe.
She had a solo album.
She did.
She had a couple of them. And that's the reason why kind of SUV kind of fizzled.
Yeah.
You know, Escape with Candy and.
Yeah. Then what else? Old girl from Dawn from In Vogue.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So none of that. I guess they never just stayed groups.
No.
Never.
I think a lot of the women that kind of went on to be famous initially were in groups.
Right.
You know, and they just kind of like, it was like, look, if you want to thrive, we got to make you solo.
Yeah, you got to get out of here.
You got to get out.
Got to trim the fat.
So, this is going to make some interesting things. I mean, the next episode, I don't think we're going to jump right into it. We have some, we got some relationship stuff we're going to talk about.
Oh man.
And then we got enough days in March to jump back into the March Madness bracket. We're going to get our round table together. If you're interested in chiming in or, you know, being a part of the next few episodes as it pertains to the music and the male and female list, let us know. You know, you listen to the podcast, the information to contact us will be on there. We are more than open to hearing your feedback and some of the people you think that we missed on the group on the list that you feel should be in there. Like, you know, just let us know. Hit us up. But can't wait to get started on it, man. Hopefully the last episode of this March Madness, we'll do a live stream of some sort, so you know you can kind of get people's reactions right then and there.
Go and get the board up.
Get the board up. Yeah, and get the bracket board up and everything. So hopefully we'll get all that together. But until then, we'll talk to you next time. Know better, do better.
Peace.